Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. And I'm not really sure how to open this up. I'm really not sure how to really talk to you guys about it. I got scolded on Facebook about a week and a half ago, and I've been sitting on this. I've been dwelling upon this. This is something that I think maybe a lot of other people are going to probably want to hear. Okay? So basically, what happened about a week and a half ago, were the No Kings protests. That's what was going on at the time of this recording. That's what was going on. And the whole thing is here's the story. I'm just gonna give you a little bit of backstory here. I got up, I had to go to the bank. I had to make a deposit. Now, this was a Saturday. There's the furnace. So to me, this wasn't a very big protest. Okay. But that's not the whole story. Move on to later that night. I got everything done I was supposed to do that day. The photography I was supposed to get done, got it done. All of a sudden, I'm scrolling through Facebook and I come across the local news channel's website on their Facebook page. They're talking about the protests that were going on statewide. Of course, Facebook, you can make a comment. And some of those comments, they weren't being nice to the protesters, okay? But for whatever reason, whatever bug got into my head that particular moment, I decided I was going to add mine. And mine was, the first thought, it was the honest, truthful thought that I had when I first saw it. Was it a clown parade? And I told him that. I said, that's what I thought it was. Apparently, there was somebody who did not like it. But she decided to question my Christianity. And she knew I was a Christian. She goes, you call yourself a Christian, but you're not tolerant. You're not this, you're not that. And I'm like, what? And as I read a little bit more, she was like, and Jesus was very tolerant. And I was like, no, he wasn't. And I actually said that. I actually said, no, Jesus was not tolerant. Jesus did not tolerate sin. And to this day, I'm waiting for her response. Never got one. So, with that being said, is the Bible tolerant? And I am knocking stuff over here. I got my fan right here. I am in a very small spot. What is it about tolerance and compassion in the Bible? Well, first of all, we are not called to be tolerant at all. It's not even close to that. Matter of fact, we're called to call out sin when we see it. And I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tongue-tied. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. We think of the loving Jesus, our loving Savior, the man who died on a cross to become a bridge for us between us and God, because sin separated us. So Jesus became that bridge for us. Now, with that being said, it's our choice if we're going to cross that bridge. Okay? But here's the thing. Does the Bible talk about love, patience, compassion towards all? Yes. That is what Jesus did on earth. He showed a ton of compassion. You had Matthew, who was a tax collector. Now, if you don't know what the tax collector, okay, think about how you feel about the IRS. Now, in the Jewish community back in the day of Jesus, think about how the Jews who chose to become tax collectors for Rome were viewed. Much, much worse. Okay. Now, if you ever watched The Chosen, if you ever watched that first episode of The Chosen, you were seeing Matthew literally paying somebody to literally drive him from his house to his office, and he had to kind of hide. He had to hide underneath a tarp in order to do it. And so that's how bad it was. And Jesus had compassion on him and called him. Now, there's other instances where Zacchaeus, remember he was a tax collector. He was really small, very short, and he had to climb a sycamore tree just to see Jesus. And when Jesus got by him, he looked up and said, "Zacchaeus, you come on down. We're going to go to your house, and I'm going to have dinner with you." Not only that, when he's at Zacchaeus' house, he turned around and he had dinner with all other forms of sinners, prostitutes, thieves, adulterers. They were all there Jesus was having dinner with them. Okay? Jesus was having lots of compassion for them. So having compassion for someone is very biblical. Now, what about sin in itself? No. There is no room for sin. Now, I'm going to literally read this. I had printed this part off, so I'm going to read it to you. Ephesians 5, verses 11, urges believers to expose the fruitless deeds of darkness. In 1 Corinthians 5, 11 through 13. Now, if you want to know, now 1 Corinthians 5, they're talking about they got the one guy who is sleeping with his, from what we can all tell, is his stepmother. Okay, his father's wife, his stepmom. Okay, that's something they were saying that is something that the pagans don't even do, and that was harsh. And Paul was telling them to cast them away, cast them out. You should not be, this should not be glorified in the church. And if you go into Romans chapter 6, verses 1 through 2, in Romans 6, verses 1 and 2, rejects the idea of continuing in sin so that grace may abound. And what does that mean? Is intentionally living a sinful lifestyle. You're going to church, you're taking the communion, and you are intentionally living a sinful lifestyle. In other words, you're still going to the bars on Saturday night. You are still probably sleeping with prostitutes on Friday night or Saturday night, whatever night it is. You're probably cussing and carrying on at work. You're probably getting into fights and everything. You're living a very sinful lifestyle, calling yourself a Christian and going to church on Sunday morning. Okay, the Bible says no. No. What is it we are called to do? We are called to love the sinner. Okay? But resist the sin. Jesus demonstrated this perfectly with the woman caught in adultery. Okay, that's John chapter 8. Now, if you remember that whole scenario, what happened was the Pharisees, leaders, community leaders, they got this woman. They said they caught her in adultery. My whole question, actually the question of a lot of people that I know is, where's the guy? Where was the guy in all this? But they caught the woman, but they didn't catch the guy. They grabbed her and they threw her at the feet of Jesus and basically said, "Rabbi, Moses said for anybody who caught in adultery, in the act of adultery, should be stoned. But we want to know what you have to say about the matter." And if you know that whole scenario, Jesus goes down, he's doodling in the dirt, just everybody's like, "Yo, Jesus," and what's going on? And Jesus looked at him and said, "He who does not know sin, let him cast the first stone." And he goes back to doing his writing, whatever, and nobody knows what was writing. Who the author of the gospel did not put it down. But one by one, they were dropping their rocks. They were dropping the stones. So whatever Jesus was writing, they were like, "Oh, I can't do this. I've done that." A lot of people do believe that what was going on was he was writing out the different sins, or he was writing out their sins. So everybody disperse. They drop their rocks and they leave, leaving just Jesus and the woman. And Jesus looks at the woman and goes, so where are your accusers? And the woman goes, I don't know, Lord. He goes, well, then I will not condemn you. Go and sin no more. That's very profound. Okay? So, Jesus did show compassion to a sinner, but what he didn't do was condone the sin. Okay? He told her, you're not condemned, but you're not to sin anymore. He offered grace first, then truth. Christians are called to do the same balance. Grace and truth together. And so when I can sit here, I can call a sin. I work with people who are very flat out blatant sinners. I work with individuals who go out and get drunk on Friday and Saturday night. I work with people who are involved in same-sex marriages, in same-sex relationships. Okay? What do? I still show compassion to them. Something's happened to them, they need help. I am going to go and help them out. It doesn't mean that I am okay with their sin, but I'm going to have some compassion on them. I'm going to say, listen, I'm not going to let you just sit here and wallow around the muck. I'll help you up. Okay, but I'm not condoning what you're doing. And even then, that's got to be a very fine line that we have to follow. Okay? Because sometimes what they're doing is the trouble that they're in might be because of the lifestyle that they live. So we got to find that balance, okay? If I get a phone call in the middle of the night asking them to come bail them out of jail because they got into a drunken brawl, or they got a DUI or something, I'll probably leave them there. Okay, one of the things I've told my kids over the years was, you get in trouble, you go out with your friends, you get in trouble with the cops, and it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, don't call me, all right? Or at the very least, don't call me then. Call me in the morning. Or if anything, yeah, go ahead and call me. Let me know at least where you're at. I'll be there in the morning to get you. Because I'm not going to get up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning to go bail somebody out who's being stupid. Okay? But it's okay to be compassionate. If we know somebody is a sinner, if we know somebody is living a sinful lifestyle, it is okay to go and help them out. It's okay to show some grace to them. It's okay to go and show compassion to them. But it's not okay to be supportive of their lifestyle. Okay? That's the whole point of it all. There is a difference between having compassion and being tolerant. And one of my best friends, I pray for her all the time. She's a lesbian, and she knows I'm a Christian. She doesn't have a problem calling me up and asking, "Hey, you want to go do this? Hey, can I get some help with this or whatever? Whatever." And I'll go and help her out, like that. She's a dear friend. She was there for me in some very dark times when I need people to help me. And so I do the same for her. She also knows what I believe. She also knows that I'm waiting for her to walk through the church door. Because that's what I want. I want her to give up the sinful lifestyle that she's living. And she knows I'll pray over her. She knows that if she's in the hospital, I'll go see her. She also knows is that I'm not okay with her lifestyle. See, I don't have to tolerate a lifestyle to show love. Tolerance is not love. It's not. Tolerance is enabling. Enabling is not love. Love is me is telling you the truth and then at the same time being there for you. Okay? Now, and all that, like you go back into 1 Corinthians 5, sometimes things get to a situation where you have to cut them off. You have to look at them and say, hey, we can't live like this. You know, the trouble you're getting into is because of your lifestyle, and I cannot be okay with that. Okay, when you want help getting out of this situation, when you want help getting out of this lifestyle, let me know. I'll always be here for you. But since you're choosing to not get out of the lifestyle, I can't be here. But let me know when you're ready. And that's how we should be. If it's somebody who's an alcoholic, that's how we have to be. Like I said, if it's same sex, if it's something to do with same-sex relationships, that's what we have to do. Okay, if they're living, this whole trans thing, that's a big issue right now. Okay, if somebody is choosing to live a trans lifestyle and are having issues with it, okay, we might have to put our hands up and say, listen, when you're ready to walk away, let me know, but I cannot be your go-to. That's how we have to do it. Okay, we got to find the balance of love, compassion, and then putting our hand up and saying, I cannot be okay with this. Maybe it's somebody who's on drugs. Maybe it's someone who's, they got, they're just, I'm trying to pick the right word here. It's a promiscuous lifestyle that they're living. When, sometimes that's what we have to do. We have to put our hands up and just say, when you're ready to walk away from the lifestyle, from doing this, let us know. So, with that being said, so my question to you is, are you being tolerant and enabling somebody's horrible lifestyle? Or are you going to sit here and so my question to you is, are you being truly loving to somebody by drawing a line and saying, we can't cross this line? You can't ask me to cross this line because I won't cross that for you? Or are you trying to be what the world calls tolerant and enabling their lifestyle? That's something to think about. And this has gone quite a bit longer than I was expecting it to. I do apologize. So, to all of you, I want God bless. Okay? Because this is something hard to talk about. It's something hard to think about. And we all know where we stand. And sometimes putting our foot down and looking at our friends and family who are going wayward and drawing a line is hard. That friend in the church who just lives an open, just disgusting lifestyle outside of the church, turning them away, that's hard. That's very hard. But it's for everyone's own good. It really is. So, with that being said, until the next time, God bless.